Hi everyone, it's Shell from Shell Crochet. Welcome to my July 2023 crochet update. Let's talk whips and finished objects. Hi everyone, how are you today? I hope you're all doing well. It is July the 31st, Monday, July 31st, and we are about to go back through the month of July and see what I was able to make this month. Just welcome back. I'm really happy for those of you who keep tuning in to see my videos on a monthly basis, and welcome to anyone who's new. Hope you're having a great summer. Please feel free to connect with me in the comments section, and I'd love to get to know you. I also love to know what you guys have been making. Okay, so let's go back to the very beginning of the month.
Hey friends, so I'm doing a little car crochet. We're on a little bit of a holiday weekend adventure, and there's background noise because the windows are open. It's hot and steamy in Ontario, Canada on Sunday, July the 2nd, and there's gonna be music, which I don't know if I'll get a strike for, so we'll see how this goes. Anyway, yeah, I think this music might be a problem. I think I know this song though. Let's see if I can clip some things together. I'm back. So I have this working in the spiral right now. So there's my bottom and top lined up. I'm just gonna put this on because I'm interested in doing a border soon. It's getting to be decent cowl size, right? Yeah, decent indeed. And I don't even need to bring this part in, it's perfect. So instead I'll just work on bringing the bottom out so it will sit nice and flat, and I'll be done. My car crochet project. I know I worked on it in November in Aurelia. I don't remember when I started it. That's what I'm trying to think of. It's that ice yarn though. And there's lots left, and I'm gonna try to inspire myself to use do a project in it next that's single stranded, because even though it's very thin and it's this wiggly bumpy yarn, I think it would be nice for a single stranded project too. Something simple that the bumpiness won't get in the way of. But anyway, there's lots of it left, so it will live again, but this one will be nice and warm. And maybe a finished object at the end of July. So onto the border, and I'll see if I can take another clip. Hey everyone. So it is Monday, July the 3rd, and we have a finished object. This is a cowl that I've been working on in the car. It's been in my car crochet bag. And it is made of this weird ice yarn. So 3 strands held together, like you can see there. So this is one of those sale yarns I got years and years ago. Sale plain, 50 grams, 250 meters. That equals thin. 90% acrylic, 10% polyamide gray. And it is definitely gray. It is definitely bumpy and fuzzy up close. And I only really wanted to be half double crochets. I tried a bunch of different stuff, but I did put a little edging on the top. But I ended up just doing a very small shell stitch with half double, chain 1, half double, chain 1, half double, skip 2 stitches, single crochet, skip 2 stitches, and again with the shell. And then I came back across the top with a little chain 3 slip stitch all the way across, just to give it a little edge. And at the very bottom here, I went down a hook, 2 hook sizes, I guess you could say. This whole thing was 6.5, held triple there. And this part was a 5.5, and I did a regular front post, back post. Left it open on the side there. Yeah, so that was started in the car sometime in 2022 and finished on July 3rd, 2023.
And I forgot to dig out that cowl. I already put it away with some of the other winter things, and actually some of the things I've made this year. And that reminds me, and I think you got a good enough idea of what it was, right? That cowl. That reminds me, I had 2 separate opportunities to get involved in charity donating this month, which made me extremely happy. I'll talk about the first one last. The second one, I just have a picture here, I'll pop it up, of a box that I was able to pack away. I was looking for an opportunity to donate some yarn that I know I'm not going to be able to use, and I found a group, and when I joined the group I realized they're much more of a group that just gets together, and they're a bit too far away from where I am. However, through another friend of mine, I was able to arrange to have a box of winter items donated to a lady who's going to be going up into northern Manitoba actually in the end of the summer, and was interested in bringing some warm things to people who could really make use of them. So I was able to pack away so many things. I did not count. I know that there was a couple of sets that went in there, 3 or 4 sets. There's probably about 20 hats and about 3 or 4 scarves and about 6 or so cowls that I was able to pack into a nice big box, and through another friend of mine get to this lady who's in part of Toronto that's quite a ways from me. But it all worked out, and it's awesome when you get to know exactly what's happening to the things. And then the second thing, I'll put in a little clip here.
Hey guys, just a little video quickly. I am donating this to a 18-year-old woman who is in need having a baby shortly. I was able to use one of my cotton market bags as a diaper bag and put in 2 baby blankets, 2 baby hats, a hat and scarf set for mom for winter, and some cloths, and it was all donated.
Yeah, so that was really great too. Someone I don't actually know from work, but someone who was able to post on our community posts at work that was in need, and now we're helping out a brand new mom-to-be who's due at the end of August. So that was super, super fun too. And the bag I used for that is a Claire, Bob Wilson 123. She changed her name to Crochet with Claire, but that bag, I've only made the one, but it makes a really good size for a diaper bag. It might be better if it was held double, but it spreads open so nicely. I had never really thought of it like that, but yeah, so all that stuff fit in there, and it was super, super great to be able to get those things donated this month. Okay, before I forget, there's a bunch of things that already walked out the door this month that were really little. So I have a couple here. I was making scrunchies with the tail end of the slippery soft acrylic yarns I was using for a bunch of different projects this year. And so I have a couple in red, there's 3 more here in brown, and there's 2 more here in purple. But about another, I don't know, 12 or so have already walked out the door, and another girlfriend of mine asked for a really skinny like hair tie version of scrunchies, which I also like to make. And sometimes I use the Loops and Threads sock yarn that is not, I'll try to pop up a picture here. It's super, super thin and it's stretchy, so I'd like to use that for those as well. So those all walked out the door. And then fast forwarding just to this past weekend, Jayda InStiches came out with a pattern for a little scrubby with the bobble stitches in the middle. So the very first one I made was this one. I just used a whole bunch of different scraps of blue and white, and I put the handle on the back. And then here's a different one I made. You can't see them as much in the variegated yarns, the bobbles that is. Here is one in all teal, and here is one in royal blue. So I made a whole bunch. I did not follow exactly the pattern. I didn't really want to fill in the back. I didn't want double thickness for these. So I followed, except for reducing the stitches to create the second layer, I followed the pattern pretty exact except for that. And then some of them I put the hanger on them instead of the strap, depending to have different uses. But I have a big bag of scrap cotton right here. This bag came from Debbie, the Canadian Crocheter, in my Christmas 12 Days of Christmas last year. She knit this, I can't believe it. Anyway, I have all kinds of scraps in here. And so I'm just going through them, or keeping them handy, because I don't really have a lot of cotton things in my make-ahead stash, so to speak, right now. The other thing I was playing around with, my husband loves to use the cotton things in the kitchen, and he likes 2 different sizes. He likes one as a cloth, and he likes one smaller for like scrubbing pots and pans and scrubbing anything in the sink, right? So I made just I made this as a rectangular fabric, and then I just seamed it all the way around the edges. And then this one is really scrappy, and I held double. So this has got that, the scrubby part of the Bernat scrub off in the middle, and it's got the teal yarn held throughout with a scrap of a different color here on the side. This was just a little rectangular shape. Sometimes I just like sitting down and not knowing what I'm gonna make and just winging it. And this one was gonna be a dishcloth. I got bored, so I stopped making it and I folded it into a sponge. So anyway, just a few of the little things. And then the last thing, I was getting a little inspired by both Christmas in July and the fact that it's starting to feel like Halloween's gonna get here sooner than we know, right? So yesterday I sat down and I have this thin, between a 2 and a 3 cotton that came from Ice Yarns. It was a gift years ago. And so I made this one little pumpkin guy, and I followed Jayda InStiches pattern for the pumpkin, which will be linked in the description box below. And then this one, I was just looking at different pictures of Frankensteins, and Frankensteins are generally not made as coasters, but I found one that I thought I could make into like a little coaster idea. So I just whipped him up yesterday too. And I got the last little bit, I'm still working off a last little bit of this Hobby Lobby cotton I was gifted that has sparkle in it. So it has a little bit of that green going through too. It would be nicer if the green cotton I had was like a brighter green, but I was working with what I had. And then the very last thing I made last night were a couple of stars, and I haven't even gotten to weaving my ends in on these yet. But again, just going through some of the cotton stash. So I made a couple of those, and I'm just gonna keep going through when I feel like it, and just getting to a point where I have some dishcloths made, some scrubbies made, some coasters. But I would like the Halloween stuff, sure, those are coasters because they're meant to be seen, right? But the stars, like those could be scrubbies too. It depends on what people want to use them for. And the whole idea is just to get through the stuff that's in this bag. I'm trying to really be mindful of using things up before opening up new yarns, unless there's a real reason to start fresh. Okay, so what's next? So going back to the very beginning of the month, I did finish the temperature blanket, and you know what? I'm gonna put the video here first.
Hello friends. We have a finished temperature blanket. So the bottom here is when we started in March up to the end of June. Not bad, eh? Now my shadow's getting in the shot, but oh well. At least it's a bit closer. I'll bring it nice and close for you. There we go. Really happy with this, and we will chat more about it in today's video.
Okay, so you do see it here with me as well. You saw it much easier on the video than I can show you here, but this is the warmest, so this is the June, and it goes down. And if I open her up, we can see the cool colors at the beginning here as well. This is great. It was for hubby, he's been using it. And so kind of how we have it for summer in the room is I like to have all cotton stuff. So I have cotton sheets. I have a very thin cotton blanket that goes across the entire bed. And then we each have one of these. So depending on who needs the extra cover, the whole point of having two was that, you know, you're not always the same temperature as your partner. So he has his own for when he needs it, and I have my own for when I need it. And I just had to pop up a couple pictures here. So last year he held up the one I made out of the Hobby Lobby cotton for me. So that's the picture you're seeing now. And then I said, well, you know what? You held it that way last year, so you might as well do it again. And so he did another shot for me, holding that blanket up before I put it in the room and got the video for you guys. Anyway, I thought that was cute. So those were projects at the very beginning of the month. And then last month, I told you that I had a whole bunch of scraps left over from the temperature blanket, and I was thinking ponchos. Well, as you can see, I'm wearing one. You will get a better view of the one I'm wearing now at the end of the video. And then you can see that there's one here in the shot as well on the wall. I'm gonna adjust the camera just a smidge while we talk about this. Just give me a sec. So for the one you see over here, I was inspired by my friend Z, Zelda NRJ3. Hi Z. When she had her bestie in town, they had, I think they made these while Linda was visiting. And it's just the four squares put together style poncho. So I did my best to make one as well, using the leftovers of the Karen cotton cakes that I had from the temperature blanket still. And I basically just did it looking at what I had left quantity wise, and they all have very similar center squares. I think from the very center out to about the white is very similar. And then this middle one, I designed it a little bit differently just to show that it's the front. It's just a very slight bit different. For the most part, they're very, very similar though. And yeah, so just regular granny square style poncho. I single crocheted all the way around each square, and then I did a single crochet join. I've been liking to do the single crochet joins on projects that are wearables lately because it gives you the inside without having to wonder. So when you have, like, I prefer to see the texture on the inside and know that that's like a seam, to show you like the same you would in normal clothing, and identify the inside so you know that you have it on the correct way that way. And so anyway, it's very simple. I'll link Jayda InStiches tutorial in the description box of putting the squares together. I think it is I want to say it's a sunflower poncho she did originally, that shows how to put these together. And the other one that I'm wearing, I actually might insert a little bit of clip of this now while we're talking because you'll get a better view, but I'm going to adjust the camera back first. Just one sec. Ta-da! So the one I'm wearing is actually made with 2 squares and 2 triangles, and then it has an edging. The edging may not live. I may rip back the edging, and I may trim it with granny squares. I still have a bit of the cotton left. I've worked through most of it. I did pull out a couple of cakes that were not part of the temperature blanket, but were sort of standalone or only parts of cakes still in my stash of cotton cakes, just to get myself enough colors. And also, like, the larger the squares get, the more you need, right? So you have to make sure. It's this part right here that's the edging that I'm not sure. It is my first time trying it with the triangle instead of the square, so we'll see how I feel about it in the end. My husband, he's always my sort of test to see if I should do anything different or keep it the way it is, and he didn't seem too keen on it, so we'll see. I'm not thrilled either. I was hemming and hawing about whether to make this into a top or keep it as a poncho. I'm glad I kept it as a poncho because this feels heavy. So if I'm gonna try making the granny square top with the triangle that Joe from Joe's Web, hi Joe, has been making a lot of lately that are so cool. They come from Kristin Omdal pattern that she put out earlier this summer. This is too heavy for me for that. So if I was making myself one of those, I'd want it in sort of the lightest weight yarn I can find in cotton. Because I find that a lot of the summer crochet things I've made, they require me to wear a tank top under them, and then it's kind of like, well, what's the point? Now it's kind of too warm. And a lot of them I've felt also that I really prefer to have the sleeves on, because if I didn't put a sleeve on it and it's a tank top, I would want something just in case for air conditioning, and then you're like doubling up. And so I'm just working through in my own mind what works best for me. And this is going to be great for sort of spring and fall, and we'll see. I don't know how much I'll wear in the summertime, but at least it's open and airy and it doesn't come down too far. So when you see the video at the end, you'll see me modeling it, and you guys can let me know what you think. The whole idea of this was to have it be able to be worn over sort of looser tops for me personally, and just have my arms covered. So anyway, I made them both, and it was fun playing with the color. It's very motivating. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions, just let me know. There will be links in the description box, but never hesitate to reach out. Okay, on to the next. Okay, so one other thing I want to mention, Jayda InStiches had tagged everybody about what the oldest yarn in your stash is. And I was chuckling to myself because I thought, I never thought to ever collect yarn before I found Jayda's channel. And it was literally seeing her tour of her yarn room way back and seeing yarn displayed behind her. And then of course I was finding people like Kristin from The Secret Yarnery and Crystal at Bag O Day. And back then Crystal had all her yarn behind her as well. And it was kind of like a new way of thinking of it. And also for me personally, I've always been the buy things off season when things go to 50 or 70% off the lowest ticketed price. I've always loved to shop that way. I just find it so much fun, and it's almost like you're buying the clothes off season. So like people are mostly starting to look for fall, new things to wear for fall now. Well, I'll wait for the end of summer sales and I'll be like putting things away for next year. And so yarn, I've started to think about it the same way. And the real reason I have a stash of yarn now is so that it's not so prohibitively expensive to make things. Even if I just use Bernat Premium, which is readily available in Walmart in Canada, it was the cheapest 200 grams, so 198 or 197 gram skein of yarn. Actually, I have one right here, which I just love this color. I just use this for something, so I'll talk about that in a sec. But here you go. Here's a great example. So Bernat Premium. When I started to create my stash, this yarn was $3.97. Best deal in town. So 7 ounces, 198 grams, and yardage is 360 yards and 329 meters. So this used to be $4, we'll call it, a skein. Now I think it's $5, and it's been like that for about 2 years now. But like, how many of these would you need to make even just this temperature style blanket? Or so that's like a throw size blanket, or then go up to twin, go up to queen, and it depends. The sizes vary and how much yarn you'll need varies, right? So let's make it really easy. If you use 10 skeins of this at $4, that's $40 worth of materials you've put into that. And this now costs $5. So that's $50 worth of materials you've put into a project that you either want to gift or sell, for example. So one of the reasons I have a stash is to buy yarn on clearance and on sale. That's one of the main driving factors I have. Now, in the beginning, it was just fun because I never thought of shopping for yarn that way, to pick up things. And so I did buy some things back in like the end of 2017 and early 2018, which is right around when I found Jayda's channel, just because I wanted to try them. And I had some real zingers in that. I've talked a lot about the mistakes I made with ice yarn clearance back before the duties and the actual costs have gone so much higher now that it's nowhere near worth it at all. I've made the best purchases in terms of price through the Spin Right factory outlet in Listowel, and it's mainly been through their tent sales and some of the times where they've had it online. During COVID, when they weren't doing the tent sales, one time I walked into the store kind of on a whim, and they were doing the buy 2 get 1 free, because usually the tent sales are buy 3 get 1 free, and this one was even better. So I got probably more things than I would have on that day. But having said all that, my thinking about my yarn stash and collecting yarn is very different these days than it was. I just really, really want to use the things I know I'm not interested in collecting and have them be out of my stash, and then have my stash in a much more manageable way. But in terms of vintage yarns and having yarns from way back, all I really remember is that when my aunt taught me to crochet when I was 13 years old, we went to Sears and we went shopping for the yarn, and I got to pick out my colors, and it was regular worsted weight acrylic yarn. And my mom and I were chatting about, do you remember the very first blankets? She was taught to make Granny Square, same time I was taught to make a Granny Square by the same lady. And, do we have these blankets? And we don't really have the very beginning ones, but I made a patchwork version with all the different yarns I used in the beginning that my mom still has. And so she pulled that out, and you can feel the difference in the texture, because you know how people will talk about Red Heart Super Saver and how it feels, but then you throw it in the wash and dry and it feels nice. Well, that blanket she was grabbing for me to have a look at, it does not feel nice. So we definitely have improved in the texture of our acrylic over the years, but yeah, it never occurred to me to collect yarn. And my grandmother used to make us slippers when we were small, but she knit those slippers, and there was never any thought of collecting or keeping things, like keeping the yarn or things like that. I wasn't involved with it then. I was involved more of it as a teenager. And I think because I know the conversation has gone from just yarn to now patterns and books and things like that. And Jennifer from Cinnamon Stitches was tagging Jayda back, I think is how it was working. But no, I've never been a pattern person, so I've never collected anything like that. And I was actually watching Jayda's live earlier today, and she was putting a picture up of a book or a magazine that she had, and that there's a picture of these two people wearing ponchos, and I remember seeing that poncho in the late 90s. And this is back when all I did was ever make things out of double crochet. By this point, I could make the granny square blankets because that's what I was taught to make, but I figured out myself how to make hats and scarves a little bit, and or to just use double crochet instead of using granny squares. But I saw this granny square poncho and I thought, I'm gonna make that one day. And literally it took until I found Jayda's channel for me to have the skills to make something like that, because I was never a pattern reader and it just always looked like so foreign to me. So I'm so grateful for YouTube and all the tutorials because of that, because without it, I would not have been able to start crocheting all the fun things and the different types of things that I've learned to do since 2017. So that was a fun trip down memory lane. And now we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming. And I have an update on the rug I was making last time. So here's a clip.
Good morning. Today is Sunday, July the 9th, and I'm almost done. You can see my stitch markers are still on there. So this is my triple stranded rug made with a 9mm hook and all these different worsted weight acrylic yarns. This is by request. And yeah, so I wanted to mention that I really liked the Ogo. Working with it, the center pull never let me down once, never tangled once. They do open at different points in the striping, but it's not a big deal for the project that I'm working on at all. And you could color control that if you wanted to. I did end up winding up my cozy style in this teal here, which is showing lighter on camera than it is. It's much brighter in person. That's actually showing much lighter too. Ironically, the green is fairly true to color. It is blowing out a little bit brighter green than it is. There's a bunch of different army greens in that, and then navy blue. And then this one is more of a turquoise. But I think they all look really good together in this rug, as you know, triple stranded rug. And I have these sets in here are 2 double crochets, 1 single crochet 12 times. And then my middle is single crochet, double crochet, single crochet with the fuzz. And that was some faux fur. Anyway, I will finish hopefully working on this today, and then the border will be done because it has to get delivered next Saturday. And so I'll take a little video of it on the bed to add probably to this clip or after we talk about it on the video. Hello, friends. The beast is done. The current beast. So much yarn went into this project. I haven't done the math yet. Today is Wednesday, July the 12th, in the evening. It's bright coming in from the window, but I think you can still get a pretty good idea. It shows more blue. It's very tealy in real life. I guess just how the yarns pick up in the camera. But yeah, she's done. So yay. Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Yes, so she was very happy with her rug. She got it on in the middle of the month, and she was very happy with the flower basket I made her as well that we talked about last time. And that used so much yarn. Let me put up a picture here. The numbers were on the, I think in the video clip you saw already, but here's the picture that I did the math. So heavy, right? And just to think about it, like a monster ball, 4 Ogos, 4 Bernat Premiums in the variegated colorway, an entire cozy style, which is a big skein, it's like 400 grams, and then almost 200 or so of the ice yarn plus the fur yarn. It's a lot of yarn. So it's great that it's a lot of yarn, but then it doesn't feel like I've made a dent, even with everything I've done this year. And that's why I'm so focused on getting things out of my stash. I don't want any yarn. I've given people strict instructions, no yarn for my birthday this year. And I'm gonna keep that for quite a while, I think. So anyway, I'm so happy that the rug worked out. And it wasn't too bad in terms of, I'm finding the triple stranded projects really difficult. it wasn't too bad. So I just had to give myself some breaks, and it's hard because those colors and making the changes in the colors and choosing when to end the cycle of the color in the Ogo, for example, and add in things. That's the fun part of creating for me. And it makes me want to keep working on it, but I had to like prioritize and make sure that I did take breaks, days off here and there. And then I still got it done in plenty of time to be able to bring it when it was ready. Anyway, okay, what are we going to talk about next? Because I just showed you this, I have a clip here of what I've been doing in terms of my Mighty Mile a Minute strips. Here you go. Good morning, friends. It is Tuesday, July the 18th, and I thought I might dig into my Mighty Mile a Minute whip that was started sometime in 2022. And I have all my scrap yarns of a similar type in there, regular worsted weight acrylic in this. And here's what I got so far. Yellow, pink, ooh, orange. This one is not the same color as this. This one is, let me see if I can remember by the time we're done here. That one I know is a separate one. I have royal blue. I have this jade color. And I have turquoise or light blue. Turquoisey though, for sure. Oh, now peony pink, I think. Peony pink. This one is just a little more salmon than this one. And there are a couple that already have their black. So I have this beautiful bright spring green, and that one's already been bordered. And then I have this bright orchid purple. So the two that are done, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7. So that makes 9. Is an interesting number. And then I have this full bag of tricks. I'm gonna go grab my scale and see which one of the balls are eligible to become one of these. I think I already pulled out some black too. So I already have some black set and ready to go. Coffee's on, as you may hear in the background. So I think I'm gonna play with this for the next couple of weeks and see what I can get done by the end of the month. So I got the scale out. It's right here, this black surface, and you can see the light too, it's right there. So first I'm gonna just weigh, for example, peony pink here. It's set to grams. So that one says 42 grams. I'm gonna weigh the jade one. And it also says 42 grams. I'm sensing a theme. But I'm sure there'll be a little leeway, so I'll keep going with a couple more. So for that one, the pink, it says 53 grams. Yeah, they're not very different at all in their length. So obviously some of these worsted weights are very heavier than others, but it's gonna give me a rough idea. So a minimum of 42 grams is what I need to do a strip. And this one, I don't need to pop off the hair clip on that one because it's so much bigger. This one is coming up as 92, so that would give me at least 2. So this entire bag, this is one of Debbie, the Canadian Crocheter's bags that she sent me, I think last year, is full of Mighty Mile a Minute strips. Most of them are just the strips. A few of them have the, oops, I grabbed the wrong one. A few of them have the edging on. This one is actually the original one. So back when I was making, this was the Jayda InStiches Mighty Mile a Minute calendar blanket from 2020. And how I did mine was I was using the calendar photos from Seta's calendar cal that year to choose my colors. And then I was making the strips based on Jayda's Mighty Mile a Minute different stitches. So that one is a stitch sampler type Mighty Mile a Minute blanket. And then the January strip was just the regular shell stitch or the corner of a granny square. And one of my strips when I was working on a separate full-size blanket was the wrong size. So Jayda's had a count of 77 rows, if you will, or 77 shells, as it were on here, split shells. And the blanket I was doing, I made it slightly bigger. And for this one, I miscounted. So I'd had this one kicking around for quite a while, and I wanted to use up scraps to make one, and I had started it, but I hadn't gotten very far. So when I pulled this out in July, I had 9 colors to work from. Most of them were kind of like this. And what I realized was I was really partway to having a rainbow blanket. So I just pulled out some extra colors to have an easy flow from throughout the rainbow. So I'm starting with red and I'm going right through to the purples, and I have several of each color. I have fun colors in there, and they are all getting trimmed in black. So I think the count I'm going for is 18. So it'll be 18 strips of color, and then they are 77 sets long plus the finishing rows. And so I think it'll be a nice big blanket when it's done. This bag has my black and has the only colors I haven't made yet, which are just the spring green and this lighter lavendery color, and it's carrying my black. I found this bag when I was looking for stuff for the donations, and it's just a granny square bag I had made. This is Karen Cakes, the regular kind, the kind that has wool in it. So I thought maybe at some point I'd find a little someone who would want this bag, but it's been in my stash since probably 2018 or 2019, so I'm just using it as a project bag now. And this is just a wing it bag. I did not follow a pattern for this. Anyway, that's what's going on with Mile a Minute for making sure that I get some modular type projects ready for assembly in the fall. And then I think I have one more thing to show you. I was watching Darla from Crafty Yarn Owl, and she has designed a bag, and I wanted to make, I've been really liking making Jayda InStiches stacked shell market bag because it's double stranded. But I realized when I saw Darla that I had both the yarns she used. This one is Bernat Handicrafter, and then I have some of these chameleon yarns that are white but turn pink. So I made another one of the split shell market bags using those 2 colors. Now the white is making it blow out a little bit on the camera there, but it's really quite complimentary. I wonder if I bring it closer if it will help. I think it helps a little bit. You get the idea a little bit more that it's not quite so dramatic in person. But yeah, so I think it's a good use of that chameleon yarn, because this one, like I said, it's white to pink. It wouldn't have mattered if it was white to purple, but I wasn't really sure what to do with it. So we have one market bag down, and I have a bunch more of this. So, and I'm gonna check my stash to see what other pink yarns or pink variegated, like where there's variegated cotton that has pink in it, and I will try to use both of these up. So this one was full, and it's probably got about a quarter left in it, and I have another one as well. So a few more market bags will get made this summer, and I don't really have many bags in my stash at this point either, which reminds me, I have one more clip for you.
Hey guys, just a little update on this granny square bag I made and showed you at the end of June. Today is Thursday, July the 6th, and I have decided to make this bag a gift bag. So I am both giving the bag to someone to use, but I'm using it also to hold the rest of their gifts in it for their birthday. So I did decide to add a strap to this because I had said I was going to have to decide which bag that I made recently was going to get a strap, and it's this one. So there you can see the strap. I just chose one of the yarns that's in the bag. It's like the light denim. I held it double with black, and then I trimmed it with just double black, and I fastened it very securely on the 2 sides here. You're not gonna be able to see, sorry, because of the lighting. But anyway, you get the idea, right? And then I just put a button closure. I can get that a little closer for you. One sec. There's the button closure, just with the little crochet chain that's attached to the other side of the bag, so it can be kept closed. And that is going, you can hear the gifts are wrapped on the inside, and that is going off to someone whose birthday it is today. Anyway, just a little update for you. This one is the one that got the strap. Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
yeah, so that was something else that went out the door in the month of July, and I think we are all up to date. I did not work on my shawl that I talked about last time at all, so I'm planning to pull that back out in August. There is another shawl that I had started in 2022 and then ripped it back because I decided I wanted to use different hook sizes to keep the width more even. Some of the stitches that go into it are much looser than others. It's a stitch sampler type blanket project that I'm making into a wrap. I think both of those are going to come back in the month of August because they're nice, lighter, thin weight yarns. I'm going to focus a little bit on the scrappy projects with the cotton, and I'll keep going on the Mighty Mile a Minute. Yeah, I don't have too many plans. There might be enough of the cottons from these to go into some kind of a scrap project. If I do, it'll probably just be like a scrap lapgan or something like that. That's very easy and mindless. Yeah, so not too many plans for August. And we'll go from there. I hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you're enjoying your summer. The weather today is actually quite nice here. I can't believe I was able to keep this on the entire time I've been talking to you. We had super hot weather for a while, in the 30s, feeling like in the 40s Celsius, which is super hot. And today it's like 24, so perfect. And it's breezy and it's nice out. Anyway, I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. You can see the little twirly video at the end, and I hope you guys are all doing well. Have a great day and happy crochet. I'll see you at the end of August. Bye for now.